but I'm just wondering. I'm wondering if he was partaking, getting ready for the Capitals to kick off the season. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe he's a fraud Capitals fan. What do you say, Lake? What's going on? Listen. I'm aggravated right now because a guy just tweeted at me because the Yankees and the Sox are playing. He had a Boston Red Sox avatar, and he's tweeting at me. He can't wait for my Red Sox to get blasted by his Yankees, which makes absolutely no sense. And I'm starting to think around this time, people drink and they tweet into my show.
Yeah, I think they do, and I don't think it's this time of year. I think it's that's the effect you have on folks. You have them doing it year round, calling in.
Yeah, that's the effect. All right. Let's get into your Redskins, and I'll give you credit. You thought they were going to be much improved. They go into the bye looking good, and I mean, it's not like they're missing Kirk Cousins per se, but this is a team that they're moving the ball a little bit. They're getting some players back, and they quietly kind of flown under the radar with what's going on with the Giants. The Cowboys pick up a win, and then the Eagles have a couple struggles here and there. So the Washington Redskins, I think, you're a Redskins fan right now, even though the bye is a little early, you got to feel pretty good about your club at 2-1.
Absolutely, and I think people are starting to understand too that Colts loss. It doesn't look as bad now as it did when it happened because the Colts are a football team, even though I think they're 1-3 or something. They've been in every game, and they had a loss to Cincinnati that looks like a much improved team.
And the Eagles,
so,
yep,
absolutely, and to the Eagles. So it's not like they've played really bad teams. They haven't. So I think if you're a Redskins fan, you feel good about that. You feel good about the performance against, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers 2 weeks ago. And there were some people out there, Q, talking about, Aaron Rodgers was playing on one leg. And that game was won in the trenches. And the Redskins offensive line took it to Green Bay. And then also on defense, their defensive line was, just made life real tough for Aaron Rodgers. I think all three of their prized young defensive linemen had sacks in the game. So, that's what they're expecting that team to do. They're expecting them to compete and this Monday night cause some trouble for Drew Brees.
Yeah, and Drew Brees, I mean, listen, the Giants went down the field that first drive. They did absolutely nothing the rest of the day. Their defense kept them in that game, but Brees, I think, needs 201 yards to set the all-time yardage record. I know he's intent on doing it this Sunday against that secondary. Brees is – when things break down, he still finds a way to make the play here and there, even at his advanced age, because he's so deadly accurate. He always seems to figure out he can survey the field, and I think to me that's his best attribute.
Oh yeah, and it's kind of sad, when you think of Drew Brees because he's playing in the era of Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, now Aaron Rodgers.
Gets overlooked.
And a lot of people don't realize this guy's the most prolific, in a lot of categories. And, he's got an MVP. He's got a Super Bowl. He's galvanized the city of New Orleans. I mean, he's just as beloved in that town as any quarterback I just named in their respective towns. And I think that, with him, sometimes he's played on some teams where he didn't have a full arsenal either. Let's face it. Name one Saints wide receiver that was a true Pro Bowl caliber wide receiver that dominated games since Drew Brees has been there.
I can only say the most reliable was Colston.
Yeah, it was Marcus Colston, and and then he had Cook for a little bit, but he's never had. And a lot of people will say, well, Tom Brady hasn't either. Well, no, it's not true. He did have Randy Moss for 1 year. He has Edelman. He had Amendola. I mean, so he had guys that fit that system. But for Brees, imagine if he could play with a Julio Jones at his arsenal. I mean, the numbers that he's put up with decent wide receivers at best, and that's kind of scary when you think about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, he's a compiler, but he's also extremely underrated, and we already know his place among some of the greats. I look at the NFC East, and I was saying before, especially with the Eagles, they're 2-2. They could easily be 4-0, but they can also easily be 1-3 and 0-4. A couple plays here and there, which you can make that argument for every team in the NFL every Sunday. There's 5 or 6 plays that can either go for or against you. But we're closer to this team, obviously, than you are. But I'm wondering from afar nationally, is there a sense that this team I don't want to say has become complacent, but they just haven't been able to, step on opposition's throats. We saw that last year where they had a stretch of games where Arizona, Chicago, San Francisco, Denver, Dallas, they were just smoking teams. And I know it's only 4 games in, but I'm just curious from where you guys are, the national standpoint, do you see complacency, or you just see a team that just got their franchise quarterback, they're dealing with some injuries, and they're going to be okay?
I kind of think that most people look at the latter. I do. I think here people know that Eagles team's talented. They like the coaching staff, you guys have up there in place. And they do realize that, we're talking about a city here that was looking for a franchise quarterback, and some people think it could have been Cousins. A lot of us don't think it was Cousins. So we do think Wentz is your franchise quarterback. And I think he's just got to work the rust off. I mean, he hasn't played, competitively, for several months dealing with the leg injury. So I think it's just a matter of, holding the fort, so to speak. And you and I talked about this a month ago. We actually said right on your show that if you're the Eagles and you can be, 3-1 or 2-2 at worst, after the first 4 games or the first quarter of the season, knowing that Wentz is going to have to come back and it's probably going to be an 8-week process before you really see the magic come back, we were like, we'd sign up for it.
But I did, not to cut you off, I did say that, and you're absolutely right. I did say that 2-2, you're okay. The problem is the secondary stinks right now. The offensive line is not holding up there in the bargain. And 2 weeks from his return, Carson Wentz has taken way too many hits.
Yeah, he is. A lot of the other pieces that worked for them last year, you're starting to see a little bit of holes that maybe guys just gelled, meshed, or, were calling for something really big. But I do think that, once all the full, complementary players come back too, it's going to open up things even more for them. I do know on the defensive side of the ball that, there's no way that Tennessee should have been able to do some of the things that they're doing.
Especially the fourth down, 4th and 15.
Absolutely. That just can't happen. But, that's one game. I think Tennessee's better than what a lot of people think they are. They're almost like a tailor-made NFC team, as far as their physicality. So that was just a tough loss for the Eagles. But I do think and I do expect the Eagles to rebound. I mean, I didn't think they were going to have any kind of season like they did last year. I mean, even if they were to go on and win the Super Bowl, I didn't think they were going to go do that with 3 losses. No way. I was looking at a team to come out of the NFC East that 11-5 wins that division hands down. 10-6 might even do it for you. But I think just looking at the landscape, I still think the Eagles are the best team in the division.
I agree with that.
But I do think this, and not being a homer, this is my job. This is how I feed my family. But I do think that this team I cover here is on their heels, and there's a lot more you're going to see from this team than you realize, because I do think that they have that kind of camaraderie in this building, and I think that for the first time, probably if you might have to go back to the days of Brad Johnson when he was here, where they have a quarterback that's liked in the locker room, beloved in the locker room. These guys really like Alex Smith, and it shows in their practice, it shows in their play on the field. There's just not a lot of loopholes. The national story about, dysfunction still here, that's just something to sell for those publications, because that's not what's going on at all. I can assure you that.
I'm curious, if you've spoken to Alex Smith, I'm curious his thoughts. Is he surprised by Patrick Mahomes' just the way this kid's been playing, or he pretty much saw this coming?
No, he's just, he's complimentary of him. Obviously, his focus is here.
I understand.
But he has nothing but good things to say about him. I mean, they saw the talent. That's why he got drafted, because that arm is just, he's got an amazing arm. But I also think that, if you were to get a truth serum and talk to Alex probably would tell you he could do some things in a second year with that
Sure.
talent that they had, so. Unfortunately for him, that's been kind of like his whole career. As soon as things start to pick up, he's kind of the guy that's pushed out. And And while he's getting pushed out, they talk about how much of a great leader and human being he is.
Yeah, well, it's always right. Well, we hated to let him, we didn't want to see him go, but he was well, why'd you get rid of him in the first place, right?
Right, exactly. And but if you think about it, the two guys that he got pushed aside for were honestly like once in a generation type talents. I mean, you look at what Kaepernick had done, when he filled in for Alex Smith, who was hurt, by the way. He wasn't benched. He was injured when Kaepernick came in, and the rest is history. They went to the Super Bowl that year with Kaepernick as well. So, but then you look at Mahomes. I mean, that arm, I don't know if I've seen an arm that electric since Brett Favre, as far as just moving around and making throws that are crazy. So, yeah, he's got that magic going for him out there in KC. So it's not bad company when you think about it. It wasn't like he was benched for poor performance. It was just more or less, hey, we've got something that's a little unique that we got to get on the field.
Two more for you, real quick on AP. Is he going to? He'll be fine. He's going to play on Monday.
Yeah, he should be fine. He was out there at practice today. He got kicked in the ankle. At the end of the Green Bay game, and that's the final two drives where they kind of stalled offensively, the Redskins I'm talking about. And, I talked to him right after the game in there, and he was like, yeah, he got kicked in the ankle, and it hurt. He said, I'm sure I'll be fine, though. And, of course, he had a bye afterwards, so there's no reason for him not to play. I think he definitely will play, and I think he'll contribute like he's been doing. Trent Williams was actually on the auxiliary field today in full pads, and don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that when we as media just walked off the field like 15 minutes ago, I'm pretty sure that they moved him from that auxiliary field onto the practice surface with the rest of his teammates.
Lastly, in your estimation, the Rams right now, they're the most complete team in the NFC or the NFL?
Whew. Right now, I'm going to have to say the NFL, because when you look at Kansas City, well, I mean, it's kind of hard to say that, because actually when you think about it, their Rams defense got moved on by Minnesota.
Yep.
And Kansas City's defense has been getting moved on. but when you need a stop, which defense are you going to go to? I don't know. And I will say this. I like the Rams, and Sean is a friend. We're happy for him out there, from his days here in D.C. But I still think the verdict is out on the Rams. I do. I think they've got a lot going for them. I know they were missing Peters. Well, Peters played, but he wasn't at full strength, and Aqib Talib is out for a couple of weeks. So, you're missing two big pieces to your defense, to help stop that passing game that Minnesota brought to the table. But I don't know. I don't know if they're going to truly be tested in their division. And that's going to be something to be said later down the road, where, if you're a Philadelphia and you've got another team in this division, maybe the Redskins or maybe the Giants, Cowboys, but another team is pressing you a little bit. And then if you look at the NFC South, I mean, you've got three teams, and Tampa may think, why not us? But you've got three legitimate playoff contending teams in there, and maybe a fourth in Tampa. And then we're talking about the NFC North. I mean, Chicago doesn't look that bad to me. No. So, they look like they could be a sleeper. And who told you that was going to be a sleeper team to watch out for this year?
I had them as sneaky, and then they make the acquisition.
Yeah.
Right. All right, 10 seconds. 10 seconds. I got to let you get out of here. I got to hit my last break. Boston or the Yankees?
You know what? I'm going Yankees, man. I'm going Yankees, because I've said
this, after all these years.
Boston had the kind of year where they basically were in roller coaster, just going up and going down, having fun, being at the amusement park. And I don't mean roller coaster and bad good. I just mean they're having fun, And now this is when things tighten up a little bit. Yep. So how good is Boston's pitching staff really? We're going to find out. But I think the Yankees take this. I do.
All right, currying a little favor with me for extended time on the air. All right, listen, enjoy the games over the weekend, and we'll talk next week. Always appreciate it, pal.
All right, appreciate it, Keith. Take care.
You got it. Lake Lewis does a great job covering the NFL. Of course, Washington Redskins and the NBA. Good follow on Twitter at Lake Lewis.